There's a video on YouTube by Danny Gonzalez called I Tried Ghost Hunting to See If It's Fake, in which Danny stayed the night in the Stanley Hotel, the hotel that inspired The Shining. He treated the expedition like a real ghost hunter would. He brought all the equipment, stayed in a room with a lot of quote-unquote activity, attempted to make contact, and then, true to his word, stayed the night. It is a genuinely great video, and it covers just about every problem and opinion I have on this topic. The biggest of which is, ghost hunting shows and videos are genuinely some of the dumbest pieces of media I've ever watched. All seem to involve people going to a place that's haunted, staying overnight, running around, scaring each other like kids at a sleepover, and then breaking out the ghost hunting equipment, talking to an empty room, and then hearing a response on their recording device with a ghost who decided to answer their question. The response is, of course, fucking indecipherable, except for the captions that appear on screen. This is seemingly proof enough that there is a ghost in the place, and that ghosts exist. The end. All this happens while spooky music is playing in the background that was edited in post. Now, some of these videos may be missing one or two of these ingredients, but there's always enough of them that this probably sounded familiar to you if you've watched one of these videos. And I've begun to wonder lately, why are these popular? Because they are. And why are these all the same? Because they are. Except for a few minor differences, these all play out the way I described above. You would think that people would see through this, and though I'm sure a lot of people do, the number of views on these videos say otherwise, because something tells me that these videos would not get this many views from people just watching them to see through them. Now some, like the Mr. Beast video we are going to talk about, are always going to get a ridiculous number of views regardless because the guy has 300 million subs. He could release a video of himself clipping his nails and it would get 100 million views. But there are others whose entire channels are this. Like Sam and Colby, which is a channel specifically for this, with 12.8 million subs. And their videos are all the same thing. Now, views can lie, so can subscribers, but there does need to be a baseline for this many views, even if some of them are fake. Which proves that people have a fascination with this stuff. But where did all of this begin? With ghost hunters, of course. I mean, yeah, people were fascinated with the paranormal for a long time before ghost hunters, but back then, those people were deviant misfits, spit on by society. This show on Sci-Fi was instrumental in starting this as a modern craze. On Ghost Hunters, Jason Hawes and Grant Wilson investigate haunted places by using paranormal equipment. And, to their credit, unlike pretty much everything else we're going to talk about in this video, they did treat this like a TV show. You know, with the respect of something that was going on the air. There is an element of professionalism in Ghost Hunters that is not present in any of this other bullshit on YouTube. Which is understandable. I have a YouTube channel, I don't act like a professional on it, but after watching enough of these videos, watching something like Ghost Hunters is like a breath of fresh air. These guys at least operate under the guise of working in this field. They aren't running around screaming like children. But Ghost Hunters still had problems. For example, how about the fact that not a single one of these people in these shows has ever captured a ghost or provided irrefutable evidence that they exist? Every episode of Ghost Hunters was left completely open to interpretation. Could you imagine a true crime show where the investigators say something like, well, we found some blood in the room, so a murder might have happened, but there's no body, so we'll never know for sure. That's what every episode of this show was like. And every episode always seems to end with, well, we think the ghost said this because... And yeah, it's great that you tied that back into what happened here, but leaving so much of what we see up to interpretation just makes me feel a certain kind of way. I don't know, like, none of this is fucking real. This is a science, right? You have tools of the trade. Tools that were made to prove this. You have engineered ways to contact these things. So why does every one of these shows end with, well, I'm pretty sure we met a ghost tonight? At least one of them should end with, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, fuck, ghosts are real, fuck, this, fuck, oh my fuck. And once you start reading about ghost hunters, you start to really see where it falls apart. Grant Wilson, in an interview, once stated that their contracts with Sci-Fi forbade them from faking evidence, and I find that extremely hard to believe. Because I bet my life fucking savings that if these guys aren't faking anything, then absolutely nothing would be happening on this show. And if the show gets too boring, that would cost Sci-Fi a lot of fucking money. There's no way the channel funding your show didn't give it a bump when it needed one. Wikipedia states, according to investigator Benjamin Radford, most ghost hunting groups, including TAPS, make many methodological mistakes. After watching episodes of Ghost Hunters and other similar programs, it quickly becomes clear to anyone with a background in science that the methods used are both illogical and unscientific. I don't think you need a background in science to see that their methods are illogical. But what Ghost Hunters isn't as important as what they were. An inspiration to countless amateur ghost hunters who wanted to make clickbait, make it big. Ghost Hunters set the industry standard for the structure of these videos and the tools used. And about those tools, here are some of the major tools of the trade for ghost hunting as described on Wikipedia. The EMF reader. This is everyone's favorite. Every one of these videos has one of these. These are used to detect possibly unexplained fluctuations in electromagnetic fields. Unexplained fluctuations in the electromagnetic field. You know, that thing that we are constantly standing in because everywhere on planet Earth is in an electromagnetic field. And so a fluctuation in a local field that isn't in a controlled setting is probably caused by literally anything moving through it, like dust. Going price? $65. That's not as bad as I thought it'd be, though it's still $65 you could have just thrown into your furnace for warmth. Still photography and video. I'd like to remind all of you how many of these shows use night vision in buildings that have working light bulbs. Digital and analog audio recording, so that the ghost can communicate in gibberish words that are of no language of this earth. But it's okay, these guys are pros at turning random noise into words for the views. To be fair, I gotta say, a lot of this stuff is under $200 on Ghost Stop. So if your takeaway from this video is, fuck you plebe, I'm going ghost hunting, glad I could help. I think the gadgets reveal a problem with the box that ghost hunters have put ghosts in. Because there is no rule saying ghosts only come out at night. So why do these shows all take place at night? To be scary, of course. I don't know who wrote the rules on how ghost hunting works, but they don't make a lot of sense. There's no rule saying ghosts only come out at night. So why do these shows all take place at night? To be scary, of course. What's scarier than exploring an abandoned building? Exploring it at night. Not to mention, the lack of light plays tricks on your brain, convincing you that something was there that really wasn't. We'll talk about this more later. There is no rule saying that ghosts can only show their presence or communicate through the tools used in ghost hunting. As a matter of fact, there is no rule saying ghosts can't just show themselves as normal humans. You remember those vanishing hitchhiker stories where the guy picks the girl up, they start dating, then he finds out she died before they met? That's a lot more haunting than the idea that ghosts can only communicate by closing doors, or making a room colder, or showing up on your EMF reader, or by speaking gibberish that the ghost hunter has to decipher. Who made up the rule where ghosts can be recorded using literally any device except the naked eye? People must have seen ghosts in the past with the naked eye because this image of a bedsheet with eyes predates any of this other shit. And even if you can't see them with the naked eye, they usually make themselves known. That's where poltergeists come from, right? So, part of the reason this feels like bullshit to me is because the rules they're founded on sound like bullshit to begin with, and it's a trickle-down effect that pervades all the other aspects of ghost hunting. So, sadly, I had to watch some of these videos for this video, and yeah, this is probably the most entertaining part. Now, some of these are not really made to get you to believe in ghosts or hauntings or any of this shit. For example, the most watched full-length paranormal video on YouTube, I think, is, of course, a Mr. Beast video where he visits the Ohio State Reformatory and actually discovers that it is not haunted. So yes, in the course of my research, I watched a Mr. Beast video for the first time in my entire life. I won't be watching another. Mr. Beast, YouTube's first billionaire, doesn't know how to say penitentiary.
This is the Ohio State Penitentiary.
Also, the name of this building is the Ohio State Reformatory, not penitentiary. You had an entire team of people working on this video. Nobody caught these things? Mr. Beast's video, to its credit, doesn't claim that there are ghosts there. They find no evidence, and they don't claim that they did. But the thing is, they don't try. And they brought the equipment with them. There's even a part in the video where Mr. Beast mentions that he doesn't know what the equipment does.
And this next thing is an EMF detector, so if the electromagnetic frequency changes, which I don't know what that means.
So why'd you fucking bring it? But then it starts going off, and what does that mean? Pretend I didn't look any of this up. You didn't explain how this works. I don't know what it means when it goes off. Then the rest of the video basically devolves into Mr. Beast playing hide and seek with his team, and what the fuck am I watching now? A bunch of grown men hiding and scaring each other like children? Man, this really adds to the spooky mood of staying in the most haunted place in the world. But my biggest problem with this video is that there is absolutely no context. It's easy to fake a setting in any of these videos. That's why they use night vision so much when many of these places have electricity and light bulbs. That's why they only film them at night, when perhaps this building that could be more readily available to the public is closed. Hell, in this particular video, there isn't even any mention of why this prison is haunted. As a matter of fact, I can tell you with certainty that there is absolutely no context whatsoever for anything that makes this prison haunted. How do I know this? Because I have been to this prison. I have stood in the rooms they are standing in and the ones they are sleeping in. Here are some things that are never mentioned in this video about this prison that completely changes how people would perceive it based on this video alone. And this can be applied to probably any of these fucking places. Because when and how you visit a place and film how you are visiting it transforms what the place actually is. Go figure, right? But it's especially bad here. The way this video is shot would make you think that Mr. Beast and his friends were breaking and entering an abandoned building. In real life, the Ohio State Reformatory is a fucking museum that is open to the public. Now, it is not open to the public at night, except during Halloween when it turns into a haunted attraction, but they certainly could have gotten permission to be there, which I'm certain they did, because if they didn't and this video got the 142 million views it did not earn, then Mr. Beast and all his friends would have been arrested. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. And by the way, the paths they take in this video are all on the tour. Everything you see is part of the tour. Even these spooky areas, which I'll get to in a second. Also, famously, The Shawshank Redemption was filmed here. And there is an entire part of this museum that is a museum all on its own specifically for the film. None of this is mentioned in Mr. Beast's video. One of the most famous films of all time was filmed in this prison, and you failed to mention this? And the portion of this museum dedicated to the movie is enormous. It's basically the entire administrative area. By the way, if you love The Shawshank Redemption, this museum rules. They actually put way more work into it than they had to, and it's amazing. You can see the box where Red found the money, the speaker where Andy played the opera music, it's all there. And in the Mr. Beast video, the only indication that any of this exists is a cardboard cutout of Morgan Freeman that is randomly in one of the shots. And that's it. Now, the church and the abandoned unkempt rooms and these 4 fucking story tall cell blocks, these are in the later parts of the tour. And they are really, really fucking creepy. They are absolutely eerie and also really fucking cold compared to the rest of the prison. But these are just one part of the prison. And here's the thing. The parts of the prison that are accessible, which are the parts Mr. Beast was legally allowed to film in, these parts all have light bulbs. Yes, these derelict parts of the prison are not as well lit and creepier, but you wouldn't need night vision in order to film stuff here, especially if you have flashlights on you. Nothing about what this building is in real life is reflected in this video. And yeah, Mr. Beast is probably a bad example. The guy is a fucking cartoon character. But this stuff can be applied to all of these other videos. For example, Sam and Colby, a couple of YouTubers whose subscriber members are also an insane amount, once visited the Indiana State Sanatorium. And in the first sentence of this video, they say this.
Today we are at the Indiana State Sanatorium where up to 5,000 people are said to have died.
This used to be a tuberculosis hospital, then a nursing home, and then another hospital for the criminally insane.
So, in other words, it's completely normal that 5,000 people have died here. Tuberculosis kills people, being old kills people, and being crazy and eventually growing old also kills people. People are supposed to die here. Of course 5,000 people have died here. How is this shocking? This is like saying, hey guys, we spent the night in the hospice wing of a hospital where they say 50,000 people have died. Yes. Now, if 5,000 people died at a hotel or an Airbnb or a private address, that would be weird because those aren't places where a lot of people are supposed to die. Also, what about cemeteries? Cemeteries are filled to the brim with hundreds of dead bodies. Wouldn't that make cemeteries the most haunted places? Yet, none of these shows ever takes place in a cemetery. It's almost like they have to only film indoor haunted places, so there's less ambient noise, and so their bullshit detectors can't reach equilibrium.
Alright guys, honestly the scariest part about walking alone in this building is the fact that there could be squatters here, and every single time I go by one of these corridors it just feels like there's eyes on me.
I actually agree with this statement. This is the scariest part of entering any abandoned building. It's also not the same thing as something being haunted by fucking ghosts, which is why I clicked on this fucking video. Now this is in most of these videos. The part where they ask the ghost, "Who are you? What's your name?"
Can you give us a name? Who are you?
And then the ghost responds with something indecipherable on the radio. Now let's ignore the fact that any part of this could be staged. The human-esque voices coming through the radio could be added in post. But even if they heard something, without the captions, would you think it actually said that? Because to me, it sounded like gobbledygook. There's another video by Sam and Colby called The Scariest Night of My Life in which this happens.
You're in this room. Why don't you come talk to me? Could you come light up my device I'm holding? Can you slam this door in front of me again? It's just me. If you want me to leave your room, just please shut this door and I'll get out of here. Huh. Bernard, I just want to say that I'm sorry about the life that you lived. Holy fuck! Oh my god! Holy shit! Oh my god, holy shit! I'm getting out of here.
Do you think we're stupid? Do you think we're fucking stupid? Don't even answer that question. Also, well, okay, let's say the door actually slammed by itself. Let's say that. Why is that so shocking? You're a ghost hunter. Shouldn't this kind of stuff be happening to you all the time? Shouldn't ghosts just be slamming doors and causing a commotion instead of just waiting for you to ask them questions? The fact that this is the first fucking thing you've ever caught on camera should fucking tell you how boring these videos are. And yes, I know earlier I said this is how people should react when they see a real ghost, but I meant that literally. When they see a real ghost. Not when they see a door shut on its own. If you're a ghost hunter, this kind of shit, while it might make you jump in the moment, should be commonplace, shouldn't it? So what's, the deal? I think most people watch these to be scared, right? Like, yes, some people watch these because they want actual proof that ghosts exist, and somehow these videos have some sort of validating effect on these people. But I think 90% of people watching these videos watch them to be scared. But then these aren't scary. The way that ghosts are represented in these videos isn't scary. Like, yeah, if this was happening to a person in real life in their own home, that would be scary if it was from their perspective, but these ghost hunting shows are a bunch of people exploring abandoned places where no one lives. Or pretending that they're abandoned when they're actually open during business hours, and just scaring themselves, or acting as if they're scared. I'm gonna stand in the corner and say this is fake, and that most, certainly not all, but most people know it's fake. So if it is widely accepted that these are fake, then its only value is to be scary. So if its only value is to be scary, then why not up the ante and actually show us some scary shit? There are videos that have actually done this, like Marble Hornets. Marble Hornets was a video series that convinced some people on the internet that Slender Man was real. How did it do this? It was a realistic-looking web series that kept its kayfabe throughout the duration of the series. It never once referred to Slender Man as Slender Man. It actually had him appear on screen, had characters who actually acted like this was happening. There's another channel called Life of Luxury that, while it doesn't try to hide the fact that it's fake as much, does attempt to convince an audience that the things happening in it are real, which includes pretty great-looking, frightening effects. These videos are clearly a sort of bait and switch. You just kinda know they're not real, but don't you kinda know that this other shit isn't real too? At least this one's trying to scare you. I love horror, and this shit isn't horror. These people are in a creepy-ass location, that's for damn sure. Like, that part of this is on point, or would be if they would just shut the fuck up sometimes. But as soon as they start trying to communicate with the ghost, every one of these shows turns stupid. So then, after all the things I've talked about, the biggest question is why? Why are these videos so popular? Well, I think the biggest reason of all is voyeurism. Look at how many of these ghost hunters are exploring these creepy-ass places in the dark. People like looking at other people do this from the safety of the computer screen. If most people were in these giant places hearing weird noises at night, they'd be scared. Which leads me to my next reason. When you are in a place like this, especially at night, your mind will imagine all sorts of things. Remember that Danny Gonzalez video from before? After finding minimal proof of any hauntings taking place in the Stanley Hotel, when he turned the light off and went to bed, he couldn't. Where he was suddenly dawned on him. He was in a creepy-ass hotel that had a reputation for supernatural shit, and he was suddenly terrified. Human beings are afraid of the dark. We are even more afraid when that darkness is in an unfamiliar place. The third reason, though, is that I think people just want to believe that a place can actually be haunted. Some of us want to believe in ghosts and hauntings. Now, those who want proof of life after death, those people are more likely to take the non-horror route. Psychics, mediums, etc. But for people who want to believe in things like ghosts just for the sake of knowing a place can be haunted, there's a lot of those people too. And despite all of the things I was just talking about, all of the things I've tried to disprove with some level of reason and common sense, it may shock you to hear that I'm kinda one of them. Despite all of the scam artist bullshit and paranormal activity level shenanigans I've mentioned, as much as there is no proof that ghosts exist, there is no proof that they don't. There is a lot of unexplained phenomena that still happens all the time. And as long as things happen that can't be explained in any logical way, ghosts will always exist. For example, I believe in such a thing as a bad place. A place that is foreboding in a way that is intangible or tangible. There are places with unexplained histories of horrible things happening there. You ever look up the list of tragedies that have happened at the Cecil Hotel in LA? You can say things like that are a coincidence, but how many coincidences are you willing to believe before they stop feeling like coincidences? I remember a hotel in the city I grew up in being fucking haunted. We all knew it was haunted before it was renovated and nothing horrible ever happened there. It just gave off bad vibes. Same with this hospital in a neighborhood that I grew up in. We would walk past this condemned hospital and you could almost see the Silent Hill nurses through the windows. But the biggest reason I sort of believe in it is this. I know people who have experienced things that are paranormal, or at least appeared to be. And here's the difference. Here's the difference between all of this ghost hunting bullshit and what it's really like to encounter something like this. Not a single person I've ever met who had an experience like this was able to record it, or even intended to. And that makes all the difference. Think about all the scary stories or urban myths you've ever heard. They are those things for a reason. They become legends for a reason. No one ever recorded footage of a legend. The second you do, it's not a legend anymore. The stories I'm about to tell you are genuinely disturbing stories that a friend of mine told me a long time ago. And they could be explained, but I need to tell it to you the way she saw it. It would be more convenient to believe one of three things. 1, she's lying, and based on the tone she had when telling these and just remembering her in general, I don't think she was. 2, she's mentally ill, and even she has admitted that this is possible. Or 3, she is a magnet for paranormal activity. And those are what makes these stories haunting. She wasn't taking some EVP detector or recorder or camera or bullshit to these situations. She was very young when these things happened. A child. And no one else was there with her to confirm that these things happened. That is what makes a real-life scary story. That is where the ghosts live, where no one else would ever believe you. When my friend Karen was about 4 years old, she woke up one night to go to the bathroom. She opened her bedroom door and saw her mother in the hall ahead of her, going into the bathroom first. And then she saw her mother open her bedroom door on the side of the hall and enter the bathroom. These rooms were not connected. Karen saw a doppelganger of her own mother. Later on in life, at about age 9 or 10, Karen and her friends used to race their bikes up the alleys behind their row homes. Imagine a block where the houses are all connected facing the street in front, but are also connected behind in an alleyway that is also where all the garages of the houses are. Karen and her friend used to race each other through the backs of each alleyway, and whoever emerged first on the street was the winner. Karen won all of these races. She was the better cyclist. But one day her friend won. Not only that, she beat her so bad that she rode into the alley Karen was racing down. Karen was pleasantly surprised. "Hey, you finally beat me. Good job. Yeah, it's about time, right?" They spoke for a couple minutes, then her friend said goodbye, as it was dinner time, and went in through the back door of her house. Karen biked back out of the alleyway and onto the street, where the friend she was racing and all of her friends were waiting for her. "Where were you?" they asked. And this traumatized my friend for years. She firmly believed she had a mental illness because of this. And her telling us these stories profoundly affected me because I think doppelgangers are so much scarier than ghosts. A ghost is the spirit of someone who's dead. That person isn't here anymore. But what the hell is a doppelganger? That person is still alive. How can there be two of one person? And of course you could explain these. Maybe her friend was in the alleyway of the house facing the street where her friends were and she ran through her house super quick to the front. Maybe her little 4-year-old brain dreamt the thing with her mother, but maybe not. And that's why part of me does believe in this shit. Because whether or not what happened to my friend was real, it's fucking terrifying either way. On the one hand, she saw real, unexplainable doppelgangers of people she knew. On the other, these hauntings were a projection of something wrong with her. And none of these quote-unquote real incidents, if they are real, can ever be proven. They don't get caught on camera or recorded by a microphone. They don't just exist because of a Ouija board or a bunch of idiots romping through a haunted hotel with lights attached to their heads. They don't happen when you go looking for them. They happen when you don't expect them. When you have nothing on you to record with. No proof to show anyone later. That's what a real haunting is. It's something that happened to you that you know in your heart happened that no one else would ever believe. But the truth is that even this can have a logical answer. I believe hauntings are based on our perception, and so I'd like to tell one more story about Crybaby Bridge. There are many Crybaby Bridges all over America. The story is that a single mom who couldn't afford to take care of her baby threw the baby off the bridge, then killed herself out of guilt. The baby's crying can still be heard today. One such bridge exists in a suburb of the city I grew up in. My friend Lou and his friends decided to go there one day to hear the baby crying. They walked down until they were under the bridge. They heard absolutely nothing. While they were down there, however, they did hear another group of people making their way under the bridge. So Lou and his friends quickly hid in the shadows. When the new group made it down there, my friend Lou, as loud as he could, went, "Wah! Wah!" To which the new group responded with, "Oh fuck," and fled in abject terror. Both of these groups of people would remember this night for the rest of their lives, but for two completely different reasons. So I guess what I'm imparting to you in this video is that maybe ghosts do exist, but I don't think any of these shows know what the fuck they're doing or how to prove that they do. I think that hauntings are completely based on personal perception, and that if hauntings exist, those doing the haunting aren't dumb enough to let a bunch of idiots capture what they're doing. I think we experience a haunting when we're at our most vulnerable, when we don't have any way of proving that it happened later, and that each experience is personal to us. That's when the ghosts will get us. But then again, it could also just be a group of guys in the shadows pretending to be a dead baby. Guys, thanks for watching. What are your thoughts on ghost hunting? Let me know in the comments, and be sure to share this one if you enjoyed it. And like, subscribe, and click that Patreon link.